My mom's arroz con pollo. Um, can of beer for the amount that I'm making, and I'm gonna use some water. So do half a can of beer and some water with the chicken. 2 big scoops of sofrito, packet of sazon. I got a bunch of cilantro that I chopped up, and then season it with salt and adobo. All right, I cleaned my chicken and I cleaned the chicken, I skinned it, and then took off like the fat and everything. I cut it off with the scissors, and I threw like 2 little gulps of canola oil in there. I just open up the container, and just count 1, 2, and it pops, maybe like 2, 3 tablespoons, just whatever oil you feel like you're comfortable with. I did how many are in here? Just enough to feed my family. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 thighs, and then I got 4 chicken legs, so they'll do the trick. Usually when I do this, I do chicken breast, and the container says maybe about like 2.5 pounds. This said it was like 5.5 pounds, but maybe that's considering it's bone, and I still have like 4 thighs and 4 legs left, so I don't know how much this is. Maybe around the same. My sofrito, I know you do like a couple big tablespoons. Really, I don't even use tablespoons. Like, I use this brown spoon, and then I just like get my sofrito and dig into it. But I had this in the freezer, and then this was left over, so I just ended up sticking the whole thing in there. It'll be fine. Sofrito is amazing. I didn't make it by hand. I can, but I didn't. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna wait for it to heat up, and then I'm just gonna stick this in here, which I guess I could just do it now. It doesn't matter. It all cooks the same. Gets the job done. So I'm gonna throw that in there. Now I'm gonna shake some salt, a couple little shakes. Since I'm so used to cooking, I know how much, but for you, if you don't know, like, shake it into your hand first and then pour it in, and then wait for it to cook, because when you're adding the rice and you're adding the water, you can always add more, but you can never take it away. That's what Grandpa used to always say, remember? You can always add, but you can never take it away. And then I'm going to shake some adobo on here, and then I'll pour half the beer. Alright, so I was breaking this up. It's frozen, so I'm just trying to heat up the oil and everything. While I just mixed the adobo and sazon. I put like several shakes. This container's like hard, so I had to like maybe about like 10, because not a lot comes out. If a lot comes out in yours, then definitely just don't put that much. But mine is really full right now, so hardly any comes out. I'm just waiting for this to like mix and start heating up. So once this finishes melting and the oil starts heating up, then I'm going to add half of my can of beer. Oh, I did add a dash of garlic. I added a dash of garlic, not even enough to probably do anything, but just to throw it in there. Okay, so this can size, I think I added 3/4 instead of half. I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't feel like half it is. So this size, I am not sure the size. It's bigger than the small one, so a medium size, because I usually use like the super large one. So this size, I used about 3/4 of it. I may need another beer, but I did save myself just a little bit just in case. And I poured 3/4 of that in here once I started to hear it sizzle. So I poured 3/4 of that, and then I put 1.5 cups of water, because my caldero is the big one. I normally use my smaller ones for my rice, but with the chicken, since the pieces are big, I use this one. I have my thighs face down, just because that's how I normally, when I cook chicken on the stove or even in the oven. So I have My thighs are all face down. Chicken legs doesn't matter. I mean, they're same meat on all sides. And then I mixed it around. Of course, you can't taste it. So I have that in there. So it's the 1.5 cups. And then what we're going to do is wait for this to cook down, because you want to cook the chicken first before you do the rice. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take right now. It says it's like 7:48. I have it at medium, so I'm going to change it. Right, so I'm going to change it at medium, and I'm going to wait for it to boil, but I'm just going to close it. I just finished making a peach cobbler, so it's hot and cooling. I'll actually leave it a little cracked open, so I'm going to leave it like that and just let it boil, and come and stir it every now and then while that water evaporates while it's cooking, so the chicken can get nice and tender, and then we'll throw the rice in once it's done. It's been about an hour. It's almost done. Alright, so it's been about an hour, literally. I broke up my meat, and then I'm going to throw in my washed my washed rice. Alright, ended up being 5 cups of rice. The rest of my beer. There you go, you need to finish this one. I only put half of it, so you gotta do the rest. Okay, so I have finished this one, and then I got another from a 4-pack, and then put half of it in there. And then I did another half in a 1.5 cups of water. And the rice, because the rice that I have is about 5 cups, so it's gonna feed everybody. Or that to about 4. I have an electric stove, I know. So sometimes it's different on, like the gas stoves and everything, but I'm just gonna stuff everything in there. Okay, so 5 cups of rice. I had added another 1.5 cups of water, and then I did another half of another beer. I tasted it, and I mean, it tastes very good right now. The reason why I added so much rice was not only because this is big, but because I need some leftovers for tomorrow, so I don't have to cook. And because it was tasting a little salty, like I put too much salt in, so adding the more rice, it'll soak that up and it'll be fine. So right now I'm going to cover it and leave a little crack. So it's 8:55, so I'm gonna do this. I mean, if you know how to make rice, you know how to make rice. You're gonna leave it like this until, like at that point, until the water, sort of evaporates, and then of course you're gonna close it after you stir it. And I usually put it like in between a 1 and a 2 after I stir it, just depending on how soft it is or how hard it is. If it's hard, then I'll try and just add a little bit more water. But usually I'm not wrong, especially if I take my time. Then I'll usually put it like at a 1 to a low. if the water's evaporated and it's somewhat soft, then it just needs the steam to cook. You know, after you shut it, then the steam basically cooks the rest of it, so you don't get mushy rice.